Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Ken. Bam,
Good
bam.
morning.
Two of my favorite people are here in studio with me, getting ready for this big weekend.
It's going to be a good one.
Mr. and Mrs. Carmen O'Quinn and Jackie O'Quinn, right? The superstars here with me live. And you know what? I'm so glad y'all are here.
It's always
Me
fun to be
too.
here.
Yeah.
It is.
I like doing coffee with Ken. Ken, I like having coffee with you.
Well, you know, you're the ones that help kind of get things started because it's lighthearted, but yet we cover, topics and get into things that just produce good conversation. And that's what we do. So I'm glad you're here.
We are glad to be here. Texas weather never disappoints. It's getting hot here in Texas, but yeah.
It is, you just never know right now. It's in that in-between stage. Spring in Texas, you don't know if it's really half winter or half summer. It just changes overnight. But right now, it's good.
It's nice.
Yes.
The in-between is what I call it, yeah. So we are continuing some discussions on the law of decision and then starting to move from decision into action, which is also a law. And I want to talk about that with you too. Because you know what? You two have made really good decisions in your life.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Sometimes. And we, you know what? Let's talk about more of that. No. It's how you arrived at good decisions versus not good decisions.
Yes.
As well as then how to take those decisions and put them into action, because decisions without action is nothing. But decision and actions equals results.
Mm-hmm.
So and we all want more results in our lives. So with that, I would love to hear about some of your decisions that really helped transform you from where you were to where you are, especially as you were starting. We got a lot of new people that are coming into this event and really watching in, and thank you all for joining Coffee with Ken. It's so awesome that you're here. But as we do that is to really walk them back in our story, because y'all have been in this process for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
But thinking back and going back in your memory,
Mm-hmm.
taking you back in the twilight zone
Mm-hmm.
to some of those hard decisions that you made that then you started putting action around. And the good thing is that I have you for our next episode too. So we're going to do like a part 1 and part 2. Same bat time, same bat station. Next. So this is really cool, isn't it, right? So we get to do this together, which we don't get to do all the time.
Not
So
enough.
I'm going to pause and say, give me your thoughts on some of the decisions you made.
So I it's funny because Carmen and I, not knowing that we were going to talk about this week, we actually discussed part of this in relation to this. And everyone watching, people were showing up at our live event, First Step Success. It's what separates them from everybody else. And it was the decision to make a change in their life. Carmen and I just had a discussion. She was having a conversation with a gentleman this past week at my son's jiu-jitsu practice. And just hearing him talk, he was convinced that he was settled in life where he was at and he couldn't do any better. You know, he couldn't take his kids to the better tournaments. He couldn't take his kids to and we were talking, it was like, how sad is that? Like, he is so conditioned, what we call that 98% mentality. He's so conditioned that he can't even make the first decision to improve his life. Like, he literally doesn't even think it's within his power, his control, his grasp.
Wow.
So I would say my first decision, and I remember it distinctively, when I realized I could change my life. At that time, I was going to college, and I had wrecked my vehicle. I didn't have a vehicle. I was sleeping on someone else's couch, issues at home life. I'd moved out, was living on these people's couch, true story, and I didn't have a vehicle, and I was walking back and forth to school. And I thought to myself, if you could have any vehicle, what would you want? And it was a Dodge Viper at the time. And of course, I'm a broke college student walking right now, right? And it was like, well, if you could have any house, what would it be? And at that point in time, in my town, it was about $250,000 home. It was, 2,000 square foot, 2-car garage, 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, when would you want to retire? And then I started thinking, if I finished school and became a nurse, and back then the starting salary in Eastern North Carolina was $30,000, how long would it take me to have this house that I would want, which wasn't extravagant, to have the car, which was kind of extravagant, to be able to retire at, say, 50?
Yeah.
And I just started doing math in my head, and I realized I felt like that was a slightly better than middle-class lifestyle. But I was never going to be able to do that with just a middle-class job, which was a registered nurse. So I thought, what would have to change?
Wow.
And I remember I could take you to the spot I was at on the road because it just hit me so hard that I was going to have to be prepared to make additional decisions in my life to be able to live a life there. I wasn't going to be riddled in debt. I could have the option to retire early and live a comfortable existence better than what my parents did. And it was just the decision of knowing I could make changes. I mean, that's the first decision, is that it was within my power, within my ability. What made everyone else so different that, you know, they could live a certain way and I couldn't. And when you live in a developed country where you still have some ability to make choices,
Yep.
it was just the ability to make a decision. I could learn, I could work, I could make different choices. I just had to make the decision not to settle for where I thought I was at.
So no complacency. So what did you use that word? So you literally getting caught in the process, decision and paralysis. What did you call it?
Oh, analysis paralysis, getting stuck.
Analysis
Yeah, because the next step is now, okay, great, I got to make different decisions. What are those decisions? Maybe I think, well, for me at the time, I thought, okay, I got a part-time job, a second job outside of nursing, because I got the nursing salary alone wasn't going to do it. So I got to get a part-time job or start some sort of a business. And back then we were dating and we had conversations about this. What can I do? And because it would have to be a certain type of business working around, you know, my job. What are my options? Well, a lot of times I've watched people over the years, coaching with people, working with people, they get stuck right there. They realize, yes, I need to make a decision, but then they get stuck. Well, what's the best decision? And the reality is there's no wrong decision if it's a decision forward. You can always reevaluate after you make the decision. There's no way to know the results of your decision if you don't take some action. So you have to take almost any action initially. You can always reevaluate the action later, but you can't reevaluate inaction.
Right. That's so true. So did you guys catch that? So you cannot evaluate in action, meaning that you do nothing. I actually can evaluate that. You're going to go nowhere. Get the car out of neutral. It's like sitting in the parking lot. We're going to go somewhere, and I leave the car in neutral. Yeah, Carmen's going to be resetting the clock. Jackie's going to be going, hey, it's time to go, right? So it's the law of action of putting into use. But I love that about the analysis paralysis. And I see people right now doing that because of fear.
Yeah.
You know, we're preparing for an event this weekend, and if you look through the questions, half of our people that submitted questions, which is about half of the people attending, about 70% of those had some action that was they were being hesitant about because of fear.
Yeah.
So what we end up doing is we try to evaluate the decision that we haven't taken yet. We try to evaluate what the outcome might be. So maybe we shouldn't do that and we should do this one. Well, what would that outcome be? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't do that. And the problem is you don't have any confidence in decision making. Until you take the step and build confidence in decision making, then you're not ever going to be on level playing field. You're never going to get out of the gate.
Right.
You can't evaluate what you haven't done. That's the truth. And so often that's exactly what a lot of people do, is they try to pre-evaluate.
Right.
And then they come up with reasons or excuses on why they can't do that. And then
So
they get
good.
stuck.
Yep.
So good. So good. Give me some of that right there. Smack. That's coffee time. See? Bam. Hi, Carmen.
Hi.
So guess what? I would like to know, because you went from a place of you had confidence in yourself even when you weren't in the best shape of your life. You were a confident person, and I've seen video of you even back then and watched the decisions that you made to take action. So kind of that in between where you were making the decision, but you decided actions. How did you really step into that? Once you made the decision, how did you start moving from decision into action? How did you do that?
Well, you know, it's important to recognize that we're at where we're at in life because of our decisions.
Yes.
And then what follows, which is hopefully action. Because
Right.
if there's a decision but it's not followed by action, it's really not a decision, it's a hope.
Right.
Ooh.
That is very true. That's a hope. Did you get that?
It's a hope, it's a dream. It's not a decision, because when you fully make a decision, it is immediately followed with action. And so one of the things that I do in every area, whether it's my health, losing the 161 pounds, whether it was in business, going from 720,000 to more than 9 million, whether it's in our marriage or parenting or whatever it is, before when I'm doing a decision or an action, it's does this, if he ticks me off and I respond, is this going to get me to the marriage I want?
Mm-hmm.
Is this action going to get me, is it going to lead me closer to my goal or further away?
Right.
And it's literally so often, I think most of us are waiting on that big giant leap versus no, it's stacking the little tiny actions on top of each other that get you the big results. It's never the big actions. It's the tiny actions that we do consistently every single day. And then also trusting that, you know, I'm somebody who prays and trusting that, okay, Lord, help me in this area. And that next step
Right.
is ordained. That next step is the right step.
Mm-hmm.
And that I loved what you said about how it's just taking the next step. It's not waiting to see if it's right, wrong, perfect, not perfect. The next step is the right step. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I've learned the biggest lessons from my missteps.
Absolutely.
Well, you actually don't ever learn from the right steps usually.
No, right? What do you
Yeah.
learn from doing it right? Like I'm the bomb, you know?
False confidence.
True. Yeah. It's like in the stock market, the person when in a bull market where everybody's making money and you think you're the smartest and then
Absolutely.
overinvest and lose everything because we're
Yes.
so smart. But it is, as you said, stepping into the decision. After
Yep.
and that's sometimes hard for people to understand. But Carmen, you did such a good job of explaining. If you're making a decision and you don't have action, you didn't make a decision at all.
Right.
You're still hoping for that. Well, I'm going to do it, and then I don't do it. Right.
100%. And you're sitting there watching everybody else get the results you want, thinking that someday when the
Yes.
right economy, the right person, the right boss, the right opportunity comes along, then. No, you are in the perfect circumstance right now, right where you're at. Your future is literally waiting on you to take that step towards it, and you're never going to get to where you want to go unless you take that step.
Yes. So
true.
true. Well, in
Speaking of next steps,
yes,
don't we have a first steps?
we do.
I know.
We do. Today, so yeah, tomorrow it
Yep.
starts. Can you believe that?
So can they still get registered if they're
They
not registered?
sure can. We have virtual space available. Obviously, you know, we're having some people here in the office. We're having a massive watch party in Kerrville. I'm going to blow your minds. We have 60 people signed up for the volunteer day.
So awesome.
That's amazing.
So
So to get registered, they need to do what? If they're watching right now.
There's going to be a link beneath, in here on Facebook. So beneath this in the comments, there's going to be a link for you to click, and you can go register right from that link.
How ironic that we're talking about taking action, making a decision,
Right.
and someone's wondering, well, how do I know if I should go to that event? Well, because you wouldn't have been listening to this Coffee with Ken this morning talking about decision and have a decision in front of you.
Absolutely.
You would have heard this replay next week.
That's right.
So that means like the sun, moon, and stars have been aligned for you to make this step this weekend and put yourself in a position to change the rest of your life.
I love it. And I'm super excited about this week. And we're going to be talking about something that we deal with ourselves, even being successful, because there's always room for improvement, right? And we
Always.
talked about this last time is degrees of success. And some people start bumping into things. And we're going to be digging really deep. I'm going to spill some beans. Jackie spilled beans early. I'm going to spill little beans right now. And that is, we're going to be talking about breaking cycles. I cannot tell you how excited I am about this because it's helping me. Because I'm working to break cycles and get myself better and more improved. And I'll be talking about that in coming weeks. And I'm not going to go there yet, Carmen. We'll go there later because there's this application I sent in on something. So we'll see how that goes. But no pressure in that area. But I'm excited about what the future is happening because I'm committing myself to some areas where I need breakthroughs. Some cycles, breaking cycles. And we're going to do all of that talking about this weekend and breaking cycles in your life. Things that are holding you back from where you want to become and who you want to become. And all of these life altering situations that people face. I've had this circumstance. We all have a story.
Yeah.
Your story is right now is get registered. Is Jackie, thank you for mentioning that. Get yourself registered. We want to see you.
Yes.
The 29th, April 29th through May 1st. You know what? Thank you guys for coming and doing this with me. It's one of the highlights of really getting the weekend started. And it just gets the engine revved up. I'm ready to go now.
Me too.
We might be starting first steps early. You better get ready. I mean, I'm so, woo! And we have so many major announcements to make.
Yes, you don't want to miss them.
Big announcements.
Yes.
Big.
Go click, add to cart. We'll see you this weekend. Join us for First Steps to Success.
Thank you for joining.